Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. We start off tonight's newscast with a disturbing case. A teacher from San Felipe Village has been charged with sexual assault following allegations made by a student. Joaquin Cruz, a teacher at Belize High School of Agriculture, BHSA, was taken into custody after a report was filed by the female minor at the Orange Walk police station. The incident reportedly occurred on May 29, 2023, when the student was still attending BHSA. According to severe inappropriate conduct as he fondled her. The Orange Walk Police Department has confirmed the charge, and we understand that Cruz appeared before the magistrate's court today. 2025 has been earmarked as an election year. However, the question on everyone's mind at this time is, when will it be? Will it be held in the first half of the year or of the latter half? Well, that decision is left to the Prime Minister, and in an interview with the media today, PM Briceño confirmed that while he is yet to set an official date, Belizeans can expect to head to the polls sooner in the year rather than later. Once a decision is made, however, the Prime Minister will be required to announce it at least a month in advance. With the UDP currently in shambles, there are some who believe that the Briceño administration may pull off a clean sweep. If that was to happen, the question would remain if the Prime Minister would make the decision to appoint persons from losing political parties to oversight bodies and even the opposition seats in the Senate.
Whilst I've not decided, but I think it's going to be more towards the first half of this year.
And if there's a clean sweep, would you appoint persons from losing political parties to oversight bodies like the Election and Boundaries Commission and push forth with such appointments for the Senate, the 3 Senate seats reserved for the opposition?
Why are you wishing this on me? It would sound good, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we are going to fight to win all 31 seats like in every election. But at the end of the day, we have to respect the wishes of the people, of the Belizean people, and if they should decide to give us the 31 seats, it's something that we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there.
With elections looming in the coming months, Prime Minister Briceño today also spoke about the need for political finance legislation which can work in our country.
I don't think, but certainly it's a practice that we try not to encourage because, well, it's very costly. And so I know a lot of times people in the NGO community and even you in the media tell us about, you talk about political finance reform. Well, there's nothing to reform. We need to have political finance legislation. and I wish we could have one, but one that's practical, one that's workable, because then that would then allow us to spend less money. So I would love to have something that can work.
The condition of sugar roads in both the Orange Walk and Corozal districts continues to be a major concern for the northern sugar industry as the 2025 crop season rolls into its third week of production. Increasing bad weather conditions have led to a delay in the upgrading of a majority of the roads needed for farmers to transport their cane to the Tower Hill factory. Following major concern from those within the industry, today Prime Minister John Briceño spoke on the matter, adding that while funds and contracts are in place for repairs, weather conditions continue to prevent progress.
The sugar roads look at the weather. We have set aside the monies, we've signed contracts, but I constantly tell our farmers we will be wasting money if we try to fix the road right now, because then one day later, 2 days later, it's going to break up. So we have the money, we've signed the contracts, we've set aside even another $1 million plus to be able to fix the sugar roads. But until the weather clears up and it dries up, there's not much that we can do.
Earlier this week, the Corozal Sugarcane Producers Association issued a letter to the Prime Minister raising alarm over the ongoing issues. Today, we understand that the 4 Northern Cane Farmer Associations met to discuss these issues and a way forward. Association leaders, we understand, will be hosting a press conference later this week to discuss today's meeting. And while GOB's commitment to rehabilitate damaged sugar roads has been impeded by the inclement weather, and that is rightfully understood, the leader of the opposition is calling on the Briceño administration to keep its compromise.
It is befuddling that 4 years, I think we could say 5 years now, because we're in 2025, the 4-year mark was in November, now we're approaching February, and we still have not seen this matter solved, which impacts the strongest sector that we have, the sugar industry and the Caneros. So we call on the government to finally deliver.
As I told you last night, 59-year-old fisherman Godfrey Hyde, whose body was discovered on the veranda of a small board house located on the Turnip Island on Saturday with multiple gunshot wounds, became the first murdered victim for 2025. The grim discovery was made by 52-year-old Frederick Dougal, who arrived at Hyde's home with groceries only to encounter an unimaginable scene. Initial reports indicate that Hyde sustained 2 apparent gunshot wounds, one of which proved to be fatal. In an interview today, Chester Williams, the Commissioner of Police, indicated that while not yet conclusive, Hyde's murder is leaning towards being drug-related.
Yeah, the Turnip matter is one that we're looking at, and from all indications, again, I'm not going to say that this is conclusive, but from all indications we're getting, that it may be drug-related. Information suggests is that the person who was killed might have found some drugs, and or people believe that he might have found some drugs, and that was the reason why they went after him to try and get those drugs. Apparently, he did not surrender them, and so what happened happened. We have a team of officers and Coast Guard who are in the area doing some searches. Again, we do anticipate that there may be more persons involved, and so we need to do what needs to be done to prevent any further violence in the coastal area of Belize.
During the Christmas holidays, Belizeans across the country enjoyed 2 separate tax-free weekends where the government of Belize sought to increase the spending power of Belizeans and create greater economic movement in the country. The initiative, according to Prime Minister John Briceño, was extremely successful, with hundreds of Belizeans taking advantage and spending their money at home instead of going over the border into Mexico to do their shopping.
The projection was 5 million. I suspect from what I've seen, from what we saw, the excitement of people coming to buy on those 2 weekends, that we probably will surpass it, but we will not know for sure until after the 15th of January when they take out their reports. Then we will know how much exactly was given out. But I think on the brighter side to that is that many people will tell you that at the border that very few Belizeans went across to Mexico, to Chetumal to buy. So that money stayed here. And so let's say if we were going to have sold 100, probably sold 120, so we have 20 more to collect taxes from, if you're trying to make it simple, the analogy. So I believe that we're going to get back some of it by the increase of sale of other goods. But secondly, I think created an economic activity in the country, so we will be able to pick it up from other areas. With the income tax, if we put more money in the people's pocket, they have more money to spend. So we'll be able to capture it when they spend that money back into the economy, and the economy continues to grow. So I believe that we'll be fine. I think we'll be able to manage.
The GST-free weekends, according to PM Briceño, also provided the tax service to take a closer look at businesses that protested or did not comply with the regulations.
Does break reveal any loopholes in the system?
Well, what we did is that with the GST break, it allowed us the opportunity for those that were not participating, for us to be able to go in and to find out why is it that they're not participating, or for those that were not giving the discount for BTS, the Belize Tax Service, to go in and to find. So we had some benefits. We managed to be able to capture where we had these weaknesses and where we had to strengthen. So overall, I think it's a success from any way that you want to take. Thanks very much, everybody.
Coming up next, Belize police dismiss police corporal for violent sexual assault on colleague. He faces criminal charges also. Stay tuned.
El gusano barrenador del Nuevo Mundo representa una amenaza importante para el ganado, las mascotas y los seres humanos. Puede provocar graves pérdidas si no se controla rápidamente. Actualmente no está presente en Belice. Es por eso que la detección temprana es crucial para evitar su propagación. Ayudemos a mantenerlo fuera. No traiga animales de otros países ilegalmente. Si nota gusaneras en heridas inusuales, infórmelo de inmediato. Llame a Baja al 824-4872 o envíe un mensaje de texto al 670-7003. Juntos podemos trabajar para mantener a nuestro país libre del gusano barrenador del Nuevo Mundo y salvar animales. Este mensaje es presentado por Baja, OIRSA, IICA, USDA y el Ministerio de Agricultura, Seguridad Alimentaria y Empresas.
The Belize Police Department has officially dismissed Corporal Dorman Dawson following a shocking incident that took place last year at the San Ignacio Police Station, where he was caught on camera sexually assaulting a female colleague. The dismissal comes as a result of a thorough review by a disciplinary tribunal that found Dawson guilty of multiple charges related to his conduct. The incident, which occurred on Valentine's Day, has sparked outrage and highlighted ongoing concerns regarding accountability and professionalism within the police force. Video footage showed Dawson approaching the female officer from behind and groping her breast. The officer instinctively defending herself, slapping Dawson in a bid to fend off the assault. In a troubling escalation, Dawson retaliated by striking her, all while other officers witnessed the altercation. Following a detailed investigation, the tribunal determined that Dawson had violated several codes of conduct within the department, leading to charges of prejudice to good order and discipline, striking a member of the Belize Police Department, and engaging in conduct of major consequence. In addition to losing his position within the police force, Dawson now faces further legal consequences. His trial for harm and sexual assault is set to commence next week, further complicating his already precarious situation. Data released by the Belize Police Department indicates a significant decrease in the murder rate for 2024, with the total number of homicides reported at 89 and confirmed by Commissioner of Police Chester Williams. This marks a decline compared to previous years, suggesting an overall improvement in public safety and reduction in violent crime. However, various media reports have indicated that the actual number may be higher. In a press conference today, Shine Barrow, the leader of the opposition, expressed skepticism regarding the police department's figures, asserting that the statistics may have been manipulated to present a more favorable image of the current government.
When you deal with death, it is enough that families lose a loved one. It is enough the devastation and pain that that causes. But to deny the justice, or at least the pursuit of justice, whereas there are many instances that even you in the media have conceded are clearly murder, but for the Minister of Police to have better statistical showing, they have relegated at least 12 that we can point to. Instances of murder are now considered death investigations, or the Ministry of Police and the Belize Police Department, under the guidance of the Minister of Police, Minister Musa, now determines what the status is, whether it's manslaughter or murder, when usually that is something that the DPP should decide.
Today, the Belize Police Department convened its Computer Performance Statistics ComStat meeting at the Police Training Academy in Belmopan, bringing together police commanders from across the nation. This biannual meeting provided an essential platform for discussing the country's crime statistics and evaluating the effectiveness of ongoing crime-fighting strategies. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams took center stage during the meeting, meticulously breaking down the crime statistics for 2024. In his
2075. So, Eastern Division accounted for a decrease of 24% in major crime when I compared last year to 2023. Also, Eastern Division represented 18% reduction in homicide. And I can say to you that 2024 is the only year in history I could recall where Eastern Division does not account for more than half of the country's murder count. In other words, of the 89 murders committed in 2024, Eastern Division had 39, which is less than half. I have not seen that before. Again, there's a lot that we did in Eastern Division in 2024. We sent in additional resources from SPU and MIT. The Gi3 were retasked to look at certain things. We have the LIU that do run those programs with the at-risk youths. And we do have Brother Nuri and Fotigongara who meets twice weekly with those persons who are under the last SOE. And the commanders on the ground, Mr. Romero, and in particular, Senior Superintendent Dehian Agustin, who is the commander of Division 1, because Division 1 is the area that has that decrease. I believe they did an exceptional job along with the two precinct commanders, Mr. Pat and Mr. Mendes, who commands Precinct 1 and Precinct 2. But most importantly, I think that we need to give credit to the foot soldiers, the constables and the corporals and the sergeants who hit the pavements every day. They are the ones who ensured that our policing plan was fully implemented and that we get the results that we received at the end of the year. So
Minister of Home Affairs Kareem Musa also attended the meeting and shared his thoughts on the current state of crime in Belize. Remarkably, the minister has received little negative feedback regarding his role in the ministry. In an interview, we inquired whether this positive reception could be attributed to the commendable public relations efforts of Commissioner Williams.
I mentioned this morning in our Comstat meeting, Jules, that every year, and I heard you on one of the morning shows mention that the police department has taken a special inclination towards the metric of homicides. But what you don't realize is that you created that metric for us. Every single year under the UDP, you would only criticize them one time a year and give them a failing report card at the end of each year. But every week, I get a question from Channel 7 specifically asking me whether I'm concerned that this week's murders concerns me because last year's murder this week is lower. And so every single time for 364 days, we are bombarded with questions and criticisms, specifically from Channel 7. And by the way, you're a good quarterback for the leader of the opposition because whenever you lead off on the beef, he catches the pass and then gives the exact same presentation that you give on the beef.
I'm very proud.
And so I wouldn't say that I am unscathed because I get criticism from the media, and that is important. The media, it plays a very crucial role in keeping us accountable, not just myself as minister or the commissioner of police, but at the same time, for that one day out of the 365 days, we can say congratulations to our police officers for the hard work that they're doing, the LIU for the hard work that they're doing, because we don't listen to the noise. The noise is constant, but at the same time, I think the public is aware that we are doing our very best in terms of improving not just our Belize Police Department, but also our greatest fight, which is the fight against crime.
As the meeting concluded, both the police leadership and the minister expressed a commitment to continuing their collaborative efforts to enhance public safety and security in Belize, aiming for an even lower crime rate as the year progresses. Upon speaking to the media today, Prime Minister John Briceño also gave an update on the ongoing discussions to help solve Belize's energy crisis. This issue was exacerbated in 2024 with more energy being demanded across the country, which BEL was unable to reliably provide. This led to various occasions of power shedding, which sent Belizeans into darkness for many hours at a time. Since then, the government, along with the Public Utilities Commission and BEL, have been in discussions to chart a way forward. One of the short to medium-term solutions currently in the pipelines is the use of a ship that produces about 80 megawatts of electricity. Locally, Prime Minister Briceño says that stakeholders are doing their part to ensure Belize can reach energy stability before 2026.
Well, I think that the BL and the PUC have been, and the Ministry of Energy, we're working very closely in trying to address that matter. What BL has presented a plan that I'll have to present to Cabinet soon, how they think that with what we have right now, with the new plant that is in San Pedro, and then it's a 21 megawatt plant, and then the upgrading of the Mailete power plant that will be increasing the amount of energy, the dam being to its max with water. We believe that we'll be able to manage for this year. What BL has been asking for us to fast track the issue of the call for proposal, the RFP process, so that we can have companies that can sign on and that can then be able to provide energy within a year, in early 2026. So if we do that, then I think we'll be able then to take care of 2026. Right now we're fine with 2025. I think we could balance it, provided no catastrophe were to happen. We'll be able to provide what we enough energy. But the long-term goal is self-sufficiency, and even to reach a point where we can export energy into Guatemala and into Mexico. So that's our long-term goal. we're still working on the 16 megawatts solar plants for the financing that we get from the Saudis. It's their money that they're lending us. I think it's a 2% interest rate, and so we have to be working with Saudi companies from Saudi Arabia. That has kind of delayed it a bit, but we're working on that. I think we managed to address the last issue when it comes to the solar, the battery plant that we're working on. I think it was 40 megawatts. It's about $100 million from the World Bank loan, and that should have been approved here in December. So again, we hope that by 2026, that also will be up. All of that will be able to help us towards sustainability, for energy sustainability, and renewable, especially from renewable sources of energy.
Democratic Party UDP finds itself mired in internal discord as two factions vie for dominance within the party. The schism has become increasingly evident as the general elections loom. The rivalry is primarily between two influential figures within the UDP, Shine Barrow, the leader of the opposition, and Tracy Panton, both of whom have emerged as key players in a party that is in desperate need of unity and a revitalized strategy to regain lost ground in the political arena. While High Court Justice Tawanda Hondura has advised both parties to seek mediation, and both sides have indicated to the court that they are willing to do so, today Barrow expressed that while there is hope for mediation, any resolution must adhere to his conditions.
Well, we have no problem rescinding the expulsions. Saldiva and Williams and other people need to understand that the decision as to who is suited to be candidates for the UDP resides with the party organs that are in the central executive. And so while we concede that there are 4 members, Cayo North, Collett, Queen Square, Albert, that have strong likelihood of winning their seats, we would certainly agree to them being the candidates. We reserve the right to decide who are the suitable candidates outside of that. And that is the middle ground. I believe, along with the majority of my colleagues, that the Alliance for Democracy is a party that just doesn't want to stand on their own and test our democracy and present a viable alternative, which I see many people calling for them to do, to insert a breath of fresh air. But they can't do that with the same corrupt people that they have. And we will not do that in the United Democratic Party. So I want to be clear. When Tracy talks about court-facilitated mediation, let me disabuse the public of the notion that that will somehow bring about a miraculous resolution, other than the proposals that have already been made by the highest ranking stalwarts of the UDP. It gets no higher. By the biggest donors in the country, it gets no bigger. So if Tracy rejected those people, no mediator, whether assigned by the court, because we have to agree as to who the mediator would be. We have to agree mutually. And then once we agree mutually and we sit down right here, the same proposals that I have outlined to the public, either a coalition where we don't challenge Albert, Collett, Queen Square, and Cayo North, and those members run independent, as alliance, whatever they want to call themselves, but it would be a coalition with the United Democratic Party, which there is only one UDP. The courts have made that clear. We reject any other notion that there is 2 UDPs. There are former UDPs that have, in our view, and in reality, formed their own party. But at mediation,
As Shine Barrow and Tracy Panton navigate this challenging landscape, the question remains whether the UDP can overcome its internal strife and present a united front to the electorate when the polls open. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
The New World screwworm poses a significant threat to livestock, pets, and humans. It can cause severe losses if not controlled quickly. Currently, it is not present in Belize. That is why early detection is crucial to prevent its spread. Let us help to keep it out. Don't bring animals from other countries illegally. If you notice maggots, larvae, or worms in unusual wounds, report them immediately. Call Baja at 824-4872 or text 670-7003. Together we can work to keep our country safe from the New World screwworm and save animals. This message was brought to you by Baja, OIRSA, AICA, USDA, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security, and Enterprise.
Last year, the government of Belize announced that it will be deployed troops to aid in Haiti's fight against criminal gangs. At this time, 2 Belize Defense Force BDF officers have already been deployed to Port-au-Prince, serving as part of the CARICOM Joint Task Force led by Jamaica. This initial deployment is laying the groundwork for a larger team of BDF personnel, though the exact timeline for their arrival remains uncertain. Belize's participation hinges on the procurement of necessary equipment and favorable conditions for the mission, according to Prime Minister John Briceño, who confirmed that the process of getting necessary equipment is already underway.
We will be paying them the allowances, and we have been making we have made the allocation within the budget for that deployment, and which would include the allowances. And at the moment, we are in the process of purchasing what they call the kits that each of these soldiers would need. The Minister Marin just yesterday, after cabinet, said to me that he wants to come to cabinet on Tuesday, next week Tuesday, to give a full update as to the state of readiness and whether we are prepared to move. So we're working on that, but at the same time, with something that we have to be very careful as to how we do this. Unfortunately, things continue to spiral out of control in Haiti, and we also, whilst we want to do our part, we want to help our brothers and sisters in Haiti. We have millions of innocent people being trapped and being taken advantage of. We also have to think about our people, that whosoever we send to Haiti, that they will also be safe and that can provide whatever service we can to the Haitian people.
Have you seen? The United States Embassy in Belmopan is poised for a leadership transition as David Hodge steps in as the new Charge d'Affaires, succeeding U.S. Ambassador Michelle Kwan. Hodge, a seasoned diplomat with more than 30 years of international experience, is expected to officially assume his new role next week. Hodge's extensive resume includes significant roles such as U.S. Consul General in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and cultural attaché. His career has taken him to key diplomatic positions across Latin America and beyond, including stints in Panama, Thailand, Peru, and Argentina. Most notably, he served as Deputy Chief of Mission in Guatemala, where he garnered valuable expertise in the region, further preparing him for the challenges ahead in Belize. Michelle Kwan, who has held the ambassadorial post since October 2022, will conclude her term on January 16th, coinciding with the upcoming inaugural of the U.S. President for a new term. Kwan, a celebrated Olympic figure, made her mark in Belize not only through her diplomatic responsibilities, but also as a cultural ambassador and advocate for bilateral collaboration during her 27-month tenure. The leadership change comes at a pivotal time for U.S.-Belize relations, a dynamic that has seen 14 U.S. ambassadors stationed in the country since its independence. Over the last 5 years, Belize has experienced stable Charge d'Affaires leadership, emphasizing the importance of continuous engagement between the two nations. As Hajj prepares to take on this critical role, focus will likely remain on fostering robust diplomatic ties and advancing mutual priorities. While the timeline for appointing a permanent ambassador remains unclear, Hodges' wealth of experience promises to sustain and enhance the cooperation between the United States and Belize in the years to come. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Thursday, January 9th here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.